Hi and welcome to CSM TAC. I'm Peter Briggs, and today will be our second interview with Graham Alexander. If it's no trouble, please could you like, share, and subscribe to my channel? Much appreciated. So we'll move on to when you started becoming a manager.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to unpack when you are the main man, aren't you, in the football club? Not just the captain, but the person that leads all the quality, the picking of the captain, the squad takes its lead from its manager. So you're then exerting a lot more influence over a lot more people. And I've got a couple of questions. And like one of them's like the question between your family and family life balance, work life balance, and your social media interaction, and how that affects you and your family. Because sometimes you've got a lot of individuals on the internet that want to tear you down, or they want to say really nasty stuff. They bask in the idea that they can humiliate individuals, especially in the spotlight. And so, how did you sort of deal with that personally, and how did you shield your family from it?
Dealing with it personally is very, very easy. I'm not on social media, so from that in it's a decision that I made a long time ago. I remember when and it probably started at the time actually playing for Scotland a little bit, where I didn't get the greatest press when I first started playing with Scotland, and it was tinging my actual time with Scotland for me personally. It was because I felt great pride in representing my country and playing for Scotland, and it was the biggest thing that had happened in my career. And I'd read the press after a game or something, and I was getting a hard time quite often. And sometimes I felt, listen, I was quite an honest guy, certainly at that age, where I knew if I played well or if I didn't, and I'd always have up. Actually, yeah, I wasn't good, but even when I was, it was still a negative vibe, and that's so I made the decision. Actually, I'm not going to read it, basically, because even if I know I've played well, I'm not going to read it. Even if we won, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to be my own judge, because the negatives far outweigh the positives from it. So I made a decision. Actually, I don't really need it, because me being picked again next week by the manager, my teammates having respect and trust in me is enough for me. I don't need anything else after that, really. And and when obviously social media has become a massive thing, and I can see how there's a lot of value in it for a lot of people, this, that, and the other. But my career, my job is around performance, and that's it. That's what I break it down to basics. Me, I don't, I know there's a media side, there's a profile side and stuff like that, but for me, underneath everything is performance. And if something is affecting that performance or has the ability to affect that performance, then you either have to manage it or cut it out. Same as going out and drinking on a Friday night. If you've got a game the next day, it's going to affect your performance. Don't do it. And I just felt with the press with Scotland, when I was playing for Scotland, could have made, I don't know, but it might have been affecting my performance at that time. So I just cut it out. And that's basically social media. So going into management, and I think I get enough feedback from the owners that I've had, my coaches, the players when I speak to them. The league table gives you a great feedback as well, and where you are and every result. So for me, I didn't feel the need to go on it. And the biggest problem I've got is shielding my family from it, because my wife's on social media, my children are on social media, and without a doubt, when things happen in football, they are hit by it harder than what I am. I am hit by things that happen professionally, but personally, I can box things off, say this happened, analyze it, put it on a shelf, walk on to the next thing. that they just see their dad, their husband, getting attacked personally for whatever reasons. So I listen. I've advised them all: don't bother, don't go on, don't read it, don't, and 100% do not be telling it to me, whatever it is, even if it's positive. When we've won promotion, I've not gone right. Let's have a look at social media, see what everyone's saying, what a genius I am, or something like that. I don't. So there's a discipline. I think there's a discipline around it. That because it'd be easy just to go on and just read out the good ones, leave the negative ones. You know what I mean? But that would be false as well. So I think it's probably one of the biggest issues or hurdles that sportsmen and women, and not just football, every sport has to try and overcome or manage and keep a balance of everything. Because obviously I read papers now and then, and I'm aware of what goes on social media, as in the generalistic things, and a lot of negativity on everything. But the negativity is the only one that seems to get reported a lot as well. Because I'm pretty certain there's a lot of positive stuff that goes on social media as well. But as in life, the negative minority or the vocal minority get the headlines, and I just feel that I'm quite I want to control my life, basically. I want to be an independent man who looks after his and his family and this, that, the other. And I know what makes me happy, and I know what keeps me content, and I know what I love doing. And if there's something that really, it might be a trend, or it might be everyone's doing, but it doesn't do anything for me, I don't get swept along and say, I must be doing it or watching it or anything. I know what I like in my life. I've got quite an open mind about what goes on, and but I know I want to be a success at football. I know I want to be a good husband and father. I don't really want to be the most popular person on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and stuff. That doesn't hold anything for me. So that's where it is, and this is not a judgment on anyone else being on it, and I think it is a good platform for understanding what's going on in various different scenarios. But I think there's a control that you have to have as a person to not let it affect you in a negative way. And I think in football especially, and management, you're basically getting judged every 3 days anyway. Saturday, Tuesday. And even in a promotion winning season, there's games that you get beat. There's periods that you go through that's a trough. And I'm sure there's a lot of negativity in there, but it doesn't actually help. So take it away.
Yeah. It's interesting. How did you manage like the expectation from the hierarchy of the football club and the supporters and your players, and how you wanted your players to perform? Because there's a balancing act between the financial side, which the football club obviously want to strengthen. You've got the will to win almost every game from the supporter, but you've got to also balance that against blooding academy players, getting the best out of each individual, bringing players back from injury just because they need that game time. How did you balance all those different factors?
The expectancy or expectation level, as you said, from the supporters there to win every week. And this is at every club. The three clubs that I've managed, it hasn't been any different at each club from that perspective. But it hasn't been any different from myself or my players either. There's like I said, since the age of 9, I've had to win to have a career. So I have to win now. My players have to win. Not every single week. There isn't a team in the world that wins every single game, but you have to win more often than you don't. And I think you can't be afraid of that expectancy or or shy away from it. You need to actually chase where that is. You need to chase that. You need to have it yourself. Or if you haven't really got it yourself, you need to put yourself in an environment that's got it, because it's the only way to succeed in professional sport. It is. It's the only way. You have to win, however winning is for you. As a 19-year-old, getting picked every week was me winning, and then trying to win in the team to get the team to win. So there's always that aspect of competition, of trying to win. And I think the balance of academy players coming back from injury, this, that, the other, is an extremely difficult one, a real difficult one. But you have to have some, I believe, like pillars of where your thoughts are, where you always, you can ask yourself 10 questions, but they all trickle down to this one aspect. And for me, it's winning. It's winning. And yeah, you have to, right, is this young player eventually going to help us win at some point? Because you have to give these players, I wouldn't say give them these opportunities, but if they've earned them, then you have to reward that work, that talent they've shown. I really fight against this thing about just throw a player in. This game doesn't mean anything, just throw him in. But his debut means something. He has to earn that debut as well. For the rest, he doesn't. There's no charity cases in professional sport where it's this game don't matter, so I'll give you your debut. When this player's 30 years old, he goes, I only got my debut because it was just a nothing game. No, you want to look back and go, no, the manager put me in because I played well in the reserves and I trained well with the first team, and I was going to help him win. That gives value to that player because he's had to earn what you've given him, sort of thing. So I'm quite. I like to have that integrity around whatever you get in life and football, that you've earned it. And it's not just a box ticking exercise. That for me is, I think it's not only valuable to you as a manager or as a coach, but it's also managers. It's always a value to that individual player as well. I think it's more long-standing. I think it gives him the strength to go, well, I've earned that. Now I've got to chase this. No, I've only been given that because of this. I haven't really achieved anything yet. So there's that balance with it. But I do think it's good as a motivational tool for all those players in your club that haven't made their debut or are coming through the youth team, the reserves, because that was me one time where you've got to see somebody getting that opportunity. You go, it is possible. It is possible, which helps the coaches within your club motivate their players in the youth team and so forth, because there's got to be a carrot. There's got to be a carrot that you're chasing. Everyone's chasing something. So from that perspective, I think you have to have integrity around your choices, what you make, that they're for the right reasons, not some PC reason, not to keep somebody off your back reason, not to keep someone over there happy. I think there is that side of life, and I think we all have to play that game a little bit. It's understandable, but it can't ever supersede performance and result for me in the long term, or you won't win and you'll be out of the game anyway. So that for me is of paramount importance for me. I think that you have to, as a manager, go into a club and you have to have a lot of communication, certainly at the start, around what is their expectation from this club, results on the pitch, financial strength, and going forward, growing the club or whatever. The need to sell a player, maybe that has to be taken into account. And the quality and importance of bringing youth players through into the first team scenario. So it's really important that you try to get this picture of what this club is expecting over the next 18 months, 2 years, 3 years from you as a manager and as a head coach, and then trying to put it into practice. But ultimately, football, professional football, there's managers that have been in the game for 20, 30 years, and they're in because they've found a way of winning. Not every single season, but over a sustained period of time, they've won enough games to be the manager. It all comes down to those basics, and you break it down, and you have to start with that, and then you build onto it what you're going to do with other aspects of the job.
Brilliant. We spoke a lot about winning and moving forward and achieving aims. What about losing? Are you a bad loser? How do you cope with losing?
Do you know what? It's something that I've and this isn't exclusive to me. I'm sure, because I've met many bad losers in professional football, and I think it becomes, look, there's some people that it doesn't affect us as much as others, and that's the human nature. But I remember losing a game when I was 9 years old, 10 years old, and being in tears in the car, in my dad's car on the way home, all the way home, because we lost. And I don't know, it was just there, because I knew it was not winning, and I knew to get to where I wanted to be, I needed to win, and so it was a step back, always a step back, losing, and I think you understand, and it gets into your psyche as a young kid, as a young pro going through the career, and listen, you understand. The thing is that you understand that you certainly, when you get into professional football, you understand you're not going to win every single week, and there's other good teams, but you can never ever lose that burning desire and will to win a game of football. If you lose it, or it dilutes, you're going to die a really quick death, to be honest, because you're not going to last that long in professional sport. And I think but I think it comes from a place of care and of love, and for your job, for your club, your ambitions. You want to succeed for your own perspective. You want to give something back to the supporters. You want to repay the faith in the manager, or whatever it is. And when you lose, you haven't got that opportunity to do that. And I think 100% as a player and as a manager, it's through the roof as a manager. I mean, it's frightening, to be honest. And sometimes I have to have a word with myself a little bit and have a bit of normality around my life, because I've lost a game of football. But if you saw me or spoke to me in that period after, you'd think it had been much worse what's happened. If you didn't know I was a football manager, you'd be thinking something dramatic had happened. Oh my God, what's the matter with you? Are you okay? Are you sure? And if you said, well, I've just lost a game of football, you know what I mean? But honestly, that's how it feels. It burns. It burns. And I think, I'll be honest, I had it as a player, but quickly as a player, you can get on to the next thing straight away, and or you can take solace in your own performance a little bit, so you could get beat, but underneath you're gutted, you're devastated, but well, I played well, or I scored a couple of goals, or blah blah blah. I think as a manager, it's honestly the lows are so much lower. The highs are not as high. I think as a player, winning a game is joy. I think as a manager, it's relief. No, honestly, that's how it feels. It's like, right, we've done some good things this week, right? But within the space of half an hour, you're thinking of the next game. So you've already gone draw, parked it away, next game. But the defeats, they just, you go through, and it's honestly, I sometimes feel ashamed in how I feel, because I know there's much worse things going on in life. I'm quite aware of normal life and general life, and some of the tragedies that you see every day, and some of the things that people go through. So, but if it's in your head and it's in your body, you can't get it out, and it's like a process you go through. And understood over my time as a manager for the last few years that Saturday, say you play Saturday on Saturday afternoon, get beat, the rest of that day is a complete write-off. I mean, a complete write-off. Gone. My wife knows that now. You know, if we've been invited to this. Oh, I'll just leave it open, shall I? Do you know what I mean? And that's honestly, it's it, because she knows that if I go to whatever it is, and it could be our best friends or our family and everything, I'll just be there. I'll be there physically, but mentally I'm away, and it's terrible company, horrendous, and I don't want to bring other people down. Sunday, you wake up, you start to plan a bit more, and you're still burning, but it's a little bit softer, a little bit cooler. By Sunday night, you start planning. By Monday morning, right, this is how we're going to fix these things. This is how we get, and it's like a process. And I've learned about that process. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, and it certainly helped me understanding that. I would be frightened if I lost the game and didn't feel like that. I'd be feeling, actually, have I lost the love of the game? Have I lost the love of competing and winning? So I think that would be a massive signal for me to do that. But understanding the process you have to go through, I think, to then come in Monday morning, you have to either have solutions to what went wrong, but you certainly have to have a plan going for the next one. And I've always been quite, I feel quite aware of that situation, that not to take it into the following next, unless you can use it in a positive way, which you can do, defeats. You know, that's probably I think in life and football, certainly, you're always looking for what you can take out of a situation to use as a positive, whether it's a negative situation. You have to use something. There's something in there that you can use. And it might be, actually, do you know what? I'm going to keep that feeling from Saturday. I'm going to keep it there Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, even Friday. I'm not going to let them forget about the week before. But it's all as a tool to win the next game. And that has certainly worked, but it can't be a habit where the whole week is a grind and negative, because if it's like that too often, it's extremely difficult, because there's a balance between, you know, the players are feeling down. That's the biggest thing I've understood. You know, I remember when it was my first, I think it might have been the first 1 or 2 months of being a manager at Fleetwood, and we got beat at home. I think it was 3-0 by Rochdale. And I said to the lads, right, see you tomorrow at the ground, 12 o'clock. And I brought all the team in on the Sunday, which for me has always been the day we family and everything. And we put the game on, started watching it, and after 20 minutes, I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? These players didn't mean to get beat. They did, they didn't do that. I want to be with my family today. These want to be with their family today. They didn't mean to get beat. It's the wrong reasons. I know it's a bit old school because it happened to me a few times as a player. But it was like a punishment for getting beat. And I think if you trust your players enough and you understand them, I think you know that they didn't mean it. You know what I mean? They didn't want it. So that was the last time I did that. And that was like 7.5 years ago. It was the only time I've done it, to be honest. I've never done it. So been raging, whatever it is. I've always give that Sunday, because I think it gives us the distance to come back in Monday morning with a clearer mind of, right, this is where we are. But I would hate to think that desire. I look at the experienced managers that are out there now that are still managing it in their 70s. Roy Hodgson, for instance. You see him, and he's been manager for 40 years. He's in his 70s. He has got a burning desire to win, a hatred of losing, and that's what gives him that freshness and that competitiveness. And I had that even all the way through my career as a player. And I remember certain managers that I had in my late 30s that couldn't understand why I wasn't happy if I wasn't playing on Saturday. Now, Graham, you're 38, 39. You should be. I was like, I'm either a player or I'm retired. I'm not semi-retired. I can't accept not being in that team and just let it go. If I do, I'm finished and I've got to walk out the door right now. And I think I had that as a player, and I'd like to think that I'll keep that for as long as I manage.
And just one more question, because we spoke during just past the lockdown about your planning and how you planned the sessions for your team and how you want, and can you explain what you did about that and how that came about?
Yeah, we obviously we had the lockdown in when it first happened. We gave the players a general 1 week ticking over program because it was March. They played 30 odd games, and we thought, to be honest, that we'd be off for 10, 14 days and then back into it. So it was a maintenance thing, really. Then it got a little bit longer, and we put another fitness program in place for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Then we understood that it was probably going to be a prolonged period of time before we got back to playing. We understood that the players couldn't have all that time off. Impossible. Even if we probably did say, listen, do what you want 5 months, most of them would have been out doing running, whatever, and keeping fit. The good pros would, and generally they are good pros. So we wanted to put a program in place that give us control and knowledge of what they were doing, because there's brilliant pros in the game, but sometimes they think they're doing something great and they're not. They're actually doing too much or not doing the right things, and they're doing it out of a good place that they want to be professional and want to do things, but actually they're not doing what's right for when they come back. So we had to put a plan in place to give us that control over what they were going to be doing, and but we wanted to try and recreate. It was locked down, so no one was allowed out of their houses, out of their their gardens and stuff like that. And footballers are sociable animals. They're not snooker players or tennis players where they're individual. They've been in a team since they were 8, 9 years old. And there was the mental side of it, of that attachment and having that security of being in a team. And we tried to write down what players sort of experience every day by coming into training. So it'd be a timetable. So they'd have a structure. They would have the social element coming in and speak to their teammates. They would have a fitness level because they'd be training. They'd have a competitive scratch to itch every day. That competitive side of them. So we wrote these down. The only thing we couldn't replicate was the actual football. So we went, right, how can we put a plan in place that ticks all these boxes? The social side of it, the fitness side of it, the team ethic, and all that sort. So we decided on a program. We had roughly between 20 and 24 players. We broke them into teams each weekend. So we'd pick 4 captains, and we changed those 4 captains every single week. So we'd pick the 4 centre halves as captains. So there was always a competitive element, even between the captains. There was somewhat similar. It wasn't just random. There was a competitive. Well, I need to beat him. Then we had they picked their teams from the challenges that were coming on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The only way we could control them or judge them was on heart rate monitors. So we came up with a point scoring of 2 points per minute in the red zone, which is the highest heart rate zone, and 1 point for the yellow zone, which is the second highest. Nothing for anything below, which made them obviously try to work as hard as they possibly could. I know as a player, and players have this issue of motivating themselves to train themselves can be difficult for certain individuals. So if they were in a team and they'd be letting their team down by not training as well, that would help their motivation every day. We always had the run or the exercise at a certain time during the day. So it would have to be between 10:30 and 12:30, similar to what a training day would be. So it weren't just get up at 3:00 in the afternoon and go out and do your run. We gave them that structure to get them out of bed and stuff like that. We had a Zoom call on the Monday and the Friday in your teams, each within a different coach. So we changed the coaches around each time, and it was a Zoom call to do a core session, press ups, sit ups, stretching. The lads would then see each other's living room and give them a bit of stick about their lampshade or about their wallpaper, and have that social interaction of that banter and stuff. So we tried to really tick as many boxes as possible to keep them motivated, to keep them involved, that they are part of the team. They give them a structure to make sure they weren't just lazing around in bed, which I think is counterproductive, makes you feel less energetic and negative and everything. And it was all those aspects. And then we spoke to the seniors at one point, and because the heart rate zones, everyone's got different heart rates. So there were certain players that no matter how hard they trained, they couldn't hit these where the points were. So we said, right, listen, we want to make it a competition. Give us some suggestions. Come back with anything. So a couple of lads, we'll just do a basic time trial on your GPS. Certain amount, 20 you can run. Nothing to do with heart rate zones and all this. And then all of a sudden, those boys that were scoring at the bottom went to the top because they were working just as hard as everyone else, but in a different way. So we started mixing up the training program with that, but we gave them a bit of ownership about how we maintain this fitness levels, and then we put it in the winning team at the end of the week. There was a financial penalty for the losing team that was for charity. So the losing team would pay, I think it was £5 each. Next team £2.50. It was only small amounts, but over the course of 15 weeks or whatever, we knew it had added up. So we were just keeping them all involved now. And to be fair, what the players gave back to us was amazing. They were fantastic with it. I think they felt true value in it. Even when we realised the season was curtailed, we were still a long period away from starting again. And I had to have some tough conversations with players that we weren't going to renew their contract and engage them for the next season. But I told them at the time when I spoke to them that we would still be running this training program, and if they wanted to stay on it, they could stay on it, because when you get back to playing, you need to be fit, this, that, the other. And apart from one player, they all stayed on it for another 3-4 weeks, because they saw the value in it, even though they didn't have to, they weren't getting paid for it, they weren't coming back to play for us. And I think from that perspective, I think it worked brilliantly for the staff and myself to keep contact with the players to keep contact with each other. The fitness levels stayed up. I think their mental health was much better as well because they were constantly in contact with their teammates and everything. And it took a lot of planning and work and this, that, but it was certainly worth it. And we understood when we come back to pre-season, what it gave us, it was a time where we understood, actually, we can work to this date and then we can give them like a month off because we know how much work they've done in this period. They have a month complete off for their holidays or whatever, and then we get back into pre-season. These boys are going to be fit, and it proved to be the case. We came back into pre-season, and the lads hit pre-season, but the lads were ahead of where they would have usually been anyway, at that specific time. So it was actually, to be fair, it was a challenge for us as a coaching staff to actually think of a new way of working and getting what we needed into them. But it made us think, it made us work out, and it was actually a great value to us. And we actually took some things into the following pre-season and season. So we would give lads home recovery on a Monday and do similar sessions. Rather than come travel in for an hour and 20 minutes to do a 30-minute cool-down session, we would actually work at home and manage them that way. And we took on things, Zoom calls for meetings and everything. It was a real, like I say, it was a negative time in many respects, but it was actually, we tried to gain as many positives from it to use going forward as possible. And I think it worked really well from it. But the biggest thing was the commitment from the players and staff to it. And I was really proud of what the squad did in that particular time, to be honest.
So thank you so much, honestly. Really much appreciated.
No, it was brilliant, mate. It was good to see you again as well, mate.
Yeah,
It's a bit strange, but this is the new normal, isn't it?
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
But all the luck in the world for a new job.
Yeah, it is, mate.
And wherever you go, just give us a shout and I'll come down and I'll have a brew with you and have a chat.
Right.
I'd love to catch back up with you again at another date as well.
Yeah, no, that'd be good, mate. That'd be good. I really appreciate it up here.
Thank you so much.
No, if there's anything I can help you going forward, mate, just let us know, all right, pal?
Yeah, much appreciated. Thank you very much, Graham.
All right, take care, mate.
Bye, mate. Bye.
Sarah.